All right, let's jump right in. The global order, it's shifting rapidly toward a multipolar system. Today, we are decoding the strategic architecture of the newly proposed Hexagon Alliance. This is a massive multi-country bloc spanning all the way from West Asia to the Indo-Pacific. In this explainer, we're going to map out the cause and effect chains, the strategic logic, and those crucial institutional relationships that define this emerging framework. So grab your notes and let's get into it. Here's our roadmap for this session. First, we'll look at how the Hexagon Alliance emerges. Second, security against regional threats. Third, economy and tech integration. Fourth, we'll examine India as a strategic bridge. Fifth, structural and diplomatic roadblocks. And finally, we'll wrap up with the era of mini-lateralism. Okay, Section 1, the Hexagon Alliance emerges. Let's see exactly how this coalition manages to span across the Mediterranean, the Middle East, Africa, and the Indo-Pacific. So, the foundational concept you absolutely need to lock in here is mini-lateralism. This is what's driving our new geopolitical era. Unlike your traditional, massive multilateral institutions, the ones bogged down by rigid treaties, mini-lateralism is all about flexible, multi-country strategic blocs. These are highly targeted, they're purpose-driven, they're designed to address shared challenges and essentially act as agile strategic counterweights to competing alignments. Think of it as a nimble strategic partnership rather than some heavy bureaucratic alliance. Now let's lock down the primary stakeholders. The core members are India, Israel, Greece, and Cyprus. I'll repeat that for your notes. India, Israel, Greece, and Cyprus. These four form the foundation of this multi-regional coalition, and they aim to expand this framework to include Arab nations, African countries, and other Asian partners. If you picture this on a map, it creates a contiguous strategic corridor, literally linking the Mediterranean straight through the Middle East all the way to the Indo-Pacific. Moving on to Section 2, security against regional threats. Let's analyze the primary trigger and the strategic motivations behind this whole counterbalancing architecture. We need to impartially look at the specific security catalyst here, primarily the rising regional threats in West Asia. The strategic motivation outlined in the sources is explicitly defined. It's about countering Iran-led networks, specifically Hezbollah and the Houthis, alongside broader concerns about extremist groups. Fundamentally, this entire setup is about establishing a cooperative security posture. It's about ensuring maritime security and maintaining regional stability in some extremely volatile global choke points. So, how do they actually counter these varied threats? The framework proposes a three-step tactical mechanism. Number 1, intelligence sharing, which is absolutely crucial for preemptive security. Number 2, joint coordination. And number 3, defense technology collaboration. Now, active recall time. Notice how closely this mirrors other regional balancing frameworks we've studied, like the Quad. It focuses heavily on technology and joint interoperability to maintain a stable balance of power in our multipolar system. All right, Section 3, economy and tech integration. Because let's face it, modern alliances can't survive on security alone. They require deep, structural, geo-economic integration. Let's break down the alliance's non-military pillars. On the economic and trade integration side, the focus is heavily on securing supply chains through new trade corridors, ensuring continuous investment flows, and building up infrastructure connectivity. Now, paired right alongside that is the technology partnership. We're talking artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and cybersecurity. This dual approach is brilliant because it actively mitigates technology dependence while building vital strategic autonomy for all the member states. Combining Israel's innovation with India's scale. I want you to underline that phrase in your mind. It comes straight from the source material, and it perfectly captures the strategic logic binding these specific nations together. It's a classic cause and effect chain. Israel brings the highly advanced tech R&D to the table, while India provides the massive market, the manufacturing base, and the human capital. That synergy right there, that is the economic engine of the entire Hexagon framework. Next up, Section 4, India as a strategic bridge. Let's pivot and focus specifically on what this multi-region architecture means, geopolitically, for India. This framework significantly elevates India's strategic outreach. It literally connects the Indo-Pacific directly with West Asia and the Mediterranean. So India's no longer just looking east, right? It's now deeply engaging west. By acting as the central bridge in this proposed framework, India dramatically enhances its strategic autonomy. It reinforces its pivotal role in this new multipolar global order we keep talking about. Okay, Section 5, structural and diplomatic roadblocks. Because geopolitics is always about trade-offs, we really have to analyze the structural dilemmas and the implementation challenges here. We have to weigh the alliance's grand objectives against the somewhat messy reality of diverging member interests. On one hand, the strategic ambition is crystal clear. It aligns with broader Western strategies, but at the same time, it reduces overdependence on the United States. However, when we look at the structural limits, the Hexagon Alliance currently remains completely informal. As of right now, it lacks any rigid institutional structure. And that lack of structure presents a massive implementation challenge. Now think back for a second to the security trigger we discussed earlier, countering Iran-led networks. Here is the profound strategic dilemma. How does India balance being in a security bloc aimed at those networks while simultaneously maintaining its own crucial energy ties with Iran and the broader Gulf states? Navigating that delicate divergence of interests, that is the primary diplomatic roadblock for this entire initiative. So we really have to question its true viability right now, mainly because it lacks formal institutional teeth. In fact, the source explicitly states that due to these intense political sensitivities, the proposed Hexagon Alliance is sometimes seen as, and I quote, more of a political narrative than a concrete alliance. It definitely functions as a framework for regional balancing, but its immediate institutional power is, for sure, limited by its informality. Finally, Section 6, the era of mini-lateralism. Let's wrap this up by zooming out to look at the broader institutional dimensions. Time for our rapid revision recap. To bring all this together, the Hexagon Alliance represents a pivotal geopolitical shift. Fundamentally, it is an emerging mini-lateral framework uniting India, Israel, Greece, and Cyprus for multi-regional integration. Remember its core pillars: cooperative security against regional threats, paired closely with deep tech integration in areas like AI and quantum computing. India serves as that vital strategic bridge connecting East and West. But as we saw, the framework faces massive structural roadblocks due to differing political sensitivities. However, even without a formal treaty structure right now, it undeniably signifies a rising blueprint for regional balancing and cooperative security in our multipolar world. Before we close, I want to leave you with an active recall question to test your understanding of how modern global alliances are evolving. Ask yourself, are informal, mini-lateral partnerships truly strong enough to replace traditional treaty alliances in a multipolar world? Or are they just strategic stepping stones? Make sure you review the cause and effect chains we discussed today, from those security threats to the tech integration to the diplomatic tightropes. Consider how this proposed blueprint really reshapes the global map. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep analyzing those strategic linkages, and I'll see you in the next one.